Can we do a quick round of claps? This is Tim.
Dana.
Matt.
Rory.
Mary.
Perfect.
I feel like I really flubbed my clap.
I feel like you did too. I'm really embarrassed for you.
I did too.
Yeah, you too, Mary. You sucked.
No.
There's an incredible amount of pressure we put on ourselves to get that clap, It's like
I'm
it's
just
not
saying
something I
that because
practice.
last time I flubbed it and I was like, oh, thank God. It was just like a normal clap.
Oh, well, if it isn't the Hunks Podcast.
It's like jerking off and never coming.
It's like tantric comedy.
Your Hunks Podcast Season 2, Episode 10, brought to you in part by the Winnipeg Comedy Festival and Manitoba's Safe You're at Home program. Stay safe, stay at home. We are, of course, the Hunks, and my name is Tim.
I'm Dana.
I'm Matt.
I'm Rory.
And today, I tried to say today and together at the same time. Wow.
Yeah, I got that.
What a legendary flub that was. First word out of the gate. Let's do two at once. Today on the podcast, we are joined by author, actor, comedian, 12 Gemini Award winner by my count. I don't know if you got a shelf. You can double check that later, Mary. But we are so happy to introduce onto the podcast for the very first time sketch comedian icon, Mary Walsh. Hello.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, you guys. Hi. I'm clapping for sound.
Yeah. Tim has a tendency to introduce people as if there's an audience, and so there's always like a little bit of an awkward.
And so I was sort of waiting for the thing.
Yeah.
We should really get a soundboard that has an audience applause. That would really.
Why not?
Yeah.
That would be good. I mean, Rusty, our sound engineer, he could throw that in.
Yeah, put it in right now, Rusty.
Put it in right now. Okay. And perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a hard time like not introducing people in that form of get ready for. Like I was hosting a funeral once,
Let's get ready to podcast.
Did you say you were hosting a funeral?
Yeah, I hosted a funeral once, and I couldn't help but introduce the people as coming up next onto the stage. Yeah. Anyways, enough about me. Mary, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I have a new puppy, and I very rarely leave him alone because I just don't want to screw up, and I'm terrified that I'm going to, I noticed that I'm not that bad with things, but it's not that I'm great with things. You know how people have those Christmas cactuses and they grow to be this big and they bloom? Yeah. They don't really last, and then they get about 7 blooms. They don't die, and they do bloom, so it's good. But it's just like I just don't want to do that job on the puppy, so I'm overly attentive. I'm helicopter puppy parenting and probably driving him insane. He's actually was born quite a naturally good pup, and I think I'm driving him the other way. So he's in the kitchen now, locked in the kitchen crying, and he's never locked in the kitchen without someone. Someone's always with him. But I realized that I had to get people out of my house because I had to ask my husband if he would move into his own house, back into his own house. And, I had other people living with me, and I had to ask them all to move out because I realized that the only time I ever really, this is way too personal, but the only time I ever really felt comfortable was when the house was empty. And I locked that door and my shoulders went down. I thought, the performance is over for the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Really?
So now I have this puppy, so now I'm on for him. And introducing the amazing pup.
Are you the type of person who can't be like nude in front of your pets? I don't like being nude in front of pets.
I don't. I'm never nude anyway. I bathe in 2 or 3 layers of 2 or 3 leotards.
At least a scarf.
Not an issue. It's not an issue.
No, I don't like when Tim brings our dog up into our room if I'm not wearing even enough clothes. I'm like, she's my daughter. She can't see me like this.
She'll get the wrong idea. And then you have to explain, look, this is where you came from.
But I do feel that I'm like, there's no place for a pet in my bed because it's like there's this weird boundary of like I'm naked in here, and sometimes we smush together when we're naked, Tim and I don't want anything. I don't want any dog to see that, or not that he would see that. I don't even want it to be on its radar.
It's not a show.
Right.
It's not a show.
I had another dog. I mean, I had other dogs. I had my first dog when I was about 25, I guess. Andy Jones gave it to me, Bert, the freedom dog. We used to just let Bert go free because we thought that that's what dogs needed was more freedom.
Yeah.
So he would actually, on Gower Street, he would actually chase cats upstairs in their house. And then I remember one time he had a little dog in his mouth, and we were going, no, he's really friendly. And then we went out around the bay once, and we just let him go. You know what I mean? He was never on a leash or anything like that.
Yeah.
He was Bert the freedom dog. And we met this and we looked out to, because Bert was running free, and we looked out to the ocean, and there was Bert and two white, what we took to be dogs. And we went, actually, as stupidly as this, and we were in our mid-20s by then, and there was no reason for us to be this stupid. We said, oh, look, Bert's made some friends, I remember saying. Then we met this old lady with her shotgun cracked across her, the way it's open like that?
Yeah.
Very old lady said, I'm going to kill that dog. And we went, what? What? And she said, he's after killing, those were two sheep, her two sheep. He drove into the water, and one of them drowned.
Oh my God. Salted
So we
sheep.
begged her not to shoot Bert, and indeed she didn't, and actually had us over and gave us tea and bickies. So it wasn't all that bad, but how ridiculous. I don't know where we got that idea from, that would be the best thing for the dog. You know what I mean? It was some 60s notion of, Woodstock and letting it all hang out and
Dog's just listening to Jimi Hendrix, and you're like, this has got to stop.
too much acid. I don't think Andy even did any acid, and I didn't do that much really.
No, just orgies mostly. Yeah.
I feel like that was my
barking,
parents' parenting strategy.
It was mine too.
Yeah.
That was my parenting strategy, and all my son needed was structure. So that's why I'm trying so hard with the dog to be more,
Yeah.
I mean, I've made so many mistakes in the past, even with the Christmas cactuses, for God's sake.
I was just going to say, Mary, you must have had the gift of gab for, as long as you can count, because how do you go from a situation where a lady is approaching your dog with a shotgun, and then next thing you know, she's giving you tea?
Well, that had nothing to do with us.
No.
That was just her.
Yeah.
Like, we explained to her
Right.
that really it was our fault, and that we were, developmentally delayed in so many ways. And so she went home, with the gun over her arm, and we weren't sure, but then an hour or so later she called and said, come over for a cup of tea. So of course we did, and they were quite nice. And so all we kept doing was, in that towny way, explaining over and over and over again how stupid we were and how Bert was a really good dog, but he had very bad parenting.
So just acting out.
She already had your phone number, or did she stick you up for the phone number?
Well, see, we were staying at someone else's house, and then so she knew that we were there. It was a very small town out around the bay, and she knew we were staying there, and so she just called Bill's number, and we answered. It was when, you always answer the phone. I never answer my landline anymore. I know it's shameful to even admit I have a landline, but I do. And I never answer it anymore. But in those days, that's all we had.
Yeah, and it was stressful
Those
to
days
not
were
answer
so
it.
sad. Yeah, how could you not answer it? Yeah.
Yeah, you would never know who it was or who called.
No, there was nothing to leave a message on.
What kind of dog is it? I gotta know.
That I have now?
Yeah.
A golden doodle.
Oh,
My husband and I were talking about getting a dog. Then we went up around the bay again. My niece and her son, who's only 10, but is absolutely besotted with designer things and basketball. They'd gotten a dog from Miss Doodles in New Brunswick, and she has golden doodles. And Hudson called the dog Gucci. The dog's name is Gucci. But he was the most adorable dog, and he got up in my arms and he snuggled right into me. You know, the pandemic.
Yes.
So, you know, I thought, this is what I need. And then I got Bowser, and then I thought that I'd gone to hell with a broken back for those first 3 weeks. Out 6 o'clock in the morning in the semi-darkness, in the freezing cold, you know, just going up and down the closed-in side yard like I was in some kind of horrible prison from some Marvel movie. You know, like, oh, dear God. And things are better now. Yeah.
So
But at least you got to pick up the dog poop. That's the best part. You know?
Yeah. Picking up the dog poop, that is the number one. Well, you don't see, the new kind of puppy regime is you have to go out and you have to not move so that you don't distract them from pooping. So the poop is like, you know, days when it happened were days of great celebration. At least I wasn't stuck out there in a prison, you know, side yard, exercise yard for nothing. At least I got a bag of poop out of it, you know, whereas really the other way was just so desperately unhappy me.
That's why I can't have a mirror in front of me when I go, because otherwise it's just not going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I do sometimes see Bowser look around at me when he's pooping, and I look away. I'm not, you know.
He's like, I dare you to move.
Yeah. But then one of my friends said, but he has to learn to live with you too.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, right. I'm not going to stand there like an idiot at 6:30 in the morning cold, with the driving rain. If I want to move, you know. So yeah, we're you know, it's
finding that balance.
Again, I think from too little to way too much. You know, like as is always, black, white. You know, up, down. You know, no wonderful. Of course, there aren't very many comedians, are there, who have that wonderful balance? Like Mike McDonald used to say that there are two kinds of comedians: diagnosed and undiagnosed.
My biggest problem is all or nothing thinking, very much. All the way extremist sort of. Yeah, totally. And I gotta say, if you want to look at a dog pooping, you do it.
Thank you.
You don't need my permission, Mary. You don't need my permission. You give yourself this permission.
Go ahead. It's your house. It's your side yard. Your side exercise yard. You're in your own little attica.
Yeah, it's your poop, you know? Once it's out of the butt.
And technically you do own the dog, so you also own the poop inside the dog. So just saying.
Technically it's mine. It's all mine.
You go to the vet. Can I get that in writing, please? No. Mary, I'm sure you've been asked this question, 100 times or whatnot, but we're a sketch group, and we've been doing sketch comedy in Winnipeg here for the past since 2015. And we started off doing a monthly show in a theater here. We wrote a new show every month and brought some guests out and, did our best to try to put some butts in the seats so we had an audience to perform for. But I was wondering, I saw on the internets that you had left Ryerson University to start writing and joining the Codco crew and doing stage shows.
We formed Codco. I was at Ryerson.
Right.
Greg was working with Theatre Pasmarai. Tommy and Diane were looking for work, and they went to Paul Thompson to audition for Under the Grey Wacky, I think, which was one of those shows that Theatre Pasmarai did, where they went up north and then interviewed all the people and then put together a show.
Okay.
Those earlier Canadian collectives. And Tommy Sexton and Diane Olsen and Paul Thompson said, here's $300. Why don't you guys do your own show, right? So myself and Diane and Tommy and Greg Malone, and at the time Paul Sametz, but he left us and went to the St. Lawrence Company. So it was me and Greg and Tommy and Diane and Kathy Jones and Paul Sametz. He has 7. There were 7 of us. And we had already worked with Andy Jones and Bob Joy, but they had gone to England, Bob to go to Oxford, and Andy to join the Ken Campbell Road Show.
Wow.
And so we started that show called Caught on a Stick, and it was all about the way that Newfoundlanders were perceived in Toronto. It must have been 1973, 1974. And it was it was like Newfoundlanders were just a joke. Like we'd gone from being Britain's doormat to Canada's laughing stock. And there were all those Newfie joke books. And you could just mention that you're from Newfoundland and Toronto at the time. People would fall down laughing. It was so funny.
So bizarre.
And so we just did a show called Caught on a Stick. That was and it was really, you have to be very careful what you write. Because we wrote... I had seen it on the door of a bar. It said, "The wild cod lie dead in the ocean. The wild cod lie dead in the sea. They all died of water pollution caused by the oil industry." It was on the thing of the bar where we used to go across the street on Dundas, and we wrote a song about that and acted it out and did funny things, like you do.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it all came to pass, and then. We did when the kids left Mount Cashel and went first to look for help. We were writing a sketch at the university at that time called Morton the Dying Child Molester. It was a comic opera about a child molester who was dying of cancer and had to be put in the. It's so funny. I know. I'm dying laughing. He had to be put in the pediatrics ward. I know. Oh God! And I remember Tommy's mother said to him, he was outraged because Tommy played Morton, and Tommy said, "Oh yes," she said. Greg Malone or Andy Jones or Bob Joy, they wouldn't play the child molester because they got a university education. You don't even have your grade 11. Because Tommy was dying because Morton had all the songs. Like Tommy was a real song and dance person, and Morton had all the songs and all the dancing and stuff like that. Yeah. And he was dying to do it, but that's the way his mother saw it. He didn't even have his grade 11, so naturally, Greg Malone, he got his BA, so he wouldn't be playing a child molester. But yes, that kind of prescient thing that you do in sketch comedy, I don't know that, and then you life imitating art, and you sort of feel like. Let's not say anything too bad because soon that will happen.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You really jinxed us.
Yeah.
What was the writing style for those early shows? Did you do the Second City kind of stuff for improvising into scripts? Or was it
yes, that's
sitting around
exactly what we did. Yeah, that's why I don't understand improvisation, because improvisation just seems like a step on the road.
Part one.
To something.
Yeah.
Right.
And because we would improvise, tape everything, improvise it 10 times, go through the tapes, see what was best, and then write out from the tapes and then write again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If things,
So, sorry, you would improvise and then do a revised improvisation of that same scene?
Yeah, because sometimes you wouldn't get anywhere.
Right.
But we'd tape all our improvisations, on audio tape.
Yeah.
And so then, and sometimes, interestingly enough, the first go round had the most funny lines in it.
Yeah.
But sometimes, honestly, you didn't get there till, improv 6,
Wow.
And so, and then we would just pick out somebody was, would go home and write, go through the tape.
Right.
And then that person would have a lot of funny lines. And you go, didn't I say that line in the improv? And Andy would go, little line, who wrote thee? You want to argue about who wrote thee? We were very, very, when we did the Codco, this is what I find really, sometimes when I go over my past, I wonder how I managed to live. But anyway, because turkeys, when it starts to rain, they look up at the sky and they frown with their mouths open. You think, me and turkeys. But when we did the TV show, we had awful rackets about who had the most time. You know what I mean? It was a big thing, like who had the most TV time, who had the most camera time. So Andy devised a thing where you could get, you'd get 1 point for being an extra, 2 points for being, a principal, and 3 points for being the star. So then, and you try to work it out so everybody would have 30 points or, an equal amount of points.
Right.
And then, of course, you go, yeah, I got 30 points, but they're all ones. They're all ones. Like, I got 31s, And it was like, oh my God. Which it was very, very, competitive.
Yeah.
Right.
But when we really laughed. And I don't think I've ever laughed as much as I laughed with those early people. And I thought when I got away from them that I would find a whole other bunch of people who I would know how to work with as well as them. Yeah. And then that doesn't happen. Mark McKinney said the same thing about Kids in the Hall. He thought, oh, this is the way it goes. You just have all these people who it just goes like this, and then they say that, and then you say this, and it's really funny, but it doesn't.
Well, because you guys with Codco were doing live shows for 10 years before you did a TV show, something like that?
No, we only lasted, you can imagine. We lasted from 74 to 77.
Okay.
And then some people who had become Rastafarians and vegan went and bought land in New Brunswick and were going to grow vegetables or something, and I decided to take up weaving, and you know what I mean. We all went our separate ways, but we all kept working together, bits and bobs, in different things. And I ran the LSPU Hall for a while as the program animateur, and so I did a lot of shows like Making Time with the Yanks, which was about in Newfoundland in the 40s. There were 6 American bases, and one lady said. And it meant we went right out of the Depression, right into the most money we ever had in our whole lives. Mm-hmm. And one woman was supposed to have said, "Thank God for Mr. Hitler." There were 6 American bases, so everybody, it freed up. We had a very rigid class system, so it freed that up because everybody went to work for the Yanks because you could make more money than God working for them. So that meant government jobs could go to other people. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it freed us immensely.
Wow,
and that was back when the American invasion, when you liked to be invaded by Americans because they brought chocolates and stockings and whiskey.
Yeah. And they said they're only going to be there for a couple of weeks.
You
find them on your couch 3 months later.
Yeah, can you do a dish?
Wearing
please?
your robe? What?
Well, there was a period of time when the Americans believed, and we all believed, that the Americans were just like some big friendly Rottweiler, but it's amazing. No matter how friendly a big dog is, once he gets in your space, he can really do a lot of damage, right? Just by being friendly. Boom, boom, boom. It's, things are smashed and broken. And
wine glasses off the coffee table.
Just being friendly.
Yeah.
What?
Wine glasses off the coffee table.
Oh, my God, yeah. America's was like a big friendly dog. Now she's more like a big, not that friendly.
That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah.
That is.
But they were always destructive. Anyway, go ahead.
I wanted to ask a little bit about 22 Minutes as well. There seems to be such a open access bridge watching recent seasons between that show and any politician in the country. They seem very accessible now, but I imagine that must have been some sort of a trust relationship built up over time. Was there? We started in 1993, I guess, when the Liberal government came in. And, most politicians, let's face it, want to be on TV because they want to show you what a great guy they are, what a great gal they are, how, hail fellow well met they are, how funny they are, We had no idea, actually. Again, I have to apologize because I was 40 by then. But I remember thinking that we were going to change the world, and ambush politicians and say things to them that people wanted to say. Yeah. But, before I even finished, which was 2006, 2007,
politicians were calling us up, asking us to ambush them.
Really? Wow.
So our plan hadn't really worked. But then, of course, the Conservatives are up to such deeply evil stuff that they don't want to talk to anyone or be anywhere, right? Or let anyone near them. I can only assume it's evil stuff. I've no idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But why won't they, like when Harper was in, he had a big yellow thing around him where real journalists couldn't get in, let alone. I remember Jerry Hall was on This Hour at that point with Gavin, and she was playing this kind of ditzy young woman who had a crush on everyone, and she went to a Harper scrum, and the RCMP arrested her. What? They took her out of there in handcuffs. So they're very if they're not, I'm not going to say okay. So they have those kind of repressive fascist leanings, whether they are and the more they're successful at it, the more they think, oh, this is the way to go. Look at Donald Trump.
Yeah. That worked out pretty well.
That worked out great for him.
No harm, no foul, huh? So,
yes.
What was did you have like a favorite politician that you like to get under the skin of, or like?
Well, not that I like to get it, but my favorite politician was John Chrétien because he was funny himself, and he, there's this famous Newfoundland joke that I really like, and it's about a guy who wants to buy a horse. He goes down the southern shore. He sees this horse in a beautiful meadow going down to the ocean. He finds the farmer. The farmer says that he can have him. He can buy him. He calls over Dobbin, and Dobbin comes racing across the field. There's only one other thing in the field. It's a huge tree. Whap! Dobbin goes right into it. Buddy from town says, What are you at? You're trying to sell me a blind horse. And Buddy from Fairyland says, no. He says, Dobbin's not blind. He just don't give a fuck. In a way, I think that John Chrétien did give a fuck, but he didn't give a fuck about how you perceived him.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think he really did care, but he wasn't
job.
Like constipated in, because he'd gone through all that Bell's palsy thing. He'd been through all those things, right? And so he was, he was funny. He was naturally a funny guy. So you always knew that even if you failed, because you only got one chance, right? Because you were actually ambushing them. He couldn't go, can I ambush you? Do you mind if I ambush you again?
Between 2 and 3 o'clock tomorrow for an ambush.
Because, the thing is, you can tell the real ambushes from the pretend ones. Because there's an energy there that you can only get when it's actually live and everybody's, up on bus, right? So, Jean Chrétien was my favorite. I can't even remember anybody else now. Were there others? Kiss Stephen Harper.
I remember that.
But he wasn't the minister. He wasn't the prime minister then. You could still get at him. He was trying to become the head of the party. He was trying to, the
kiss
party,
his way to the top.
The leader,
And so the leader, the party leader. And so, of course, anybody could get in at him. And it was at the very end of This Hour is 22 minutes, and that caused a lot of chagrin and outrage and things. People were really, really horrified. And maybe they were right. I mean, I was on my way out, and I thought, what can I do? And so I just put on a lot of orange lipstick. And because, that's what Conservatives and Republicans, they're just against everything. And they, even when they're in power, they're against everything. They're against themselves. They're against the power elite. Well, who the fuck do you think you are? Right? So I was just trying to give him, because it did seem that when I was Marg, I found after a while that I had to really like the person in some kind of way, because when you're that close to people, and so I had to have goodwill. So my instinct was to tell them something that, to help them. Right. So I was saying, you can't be against everything. You're against, Kyoto, not just the Accord, but the whole city too. You know what I mean? And, you got to be for something. You got to, and then be for me. And then I kissed him. And then that was sort of shocking. But at the same time, I mean, it's not like I was full of goodwill toward him.
Right.
But I did have a certain amount of pretend goodwill.
Yeah.
Where I was like somebody's aunt who was coming to give them, advice as to how they could win.
Right.
Yeah.
So how were you guys received by other journalists?
Well, we would always, because Jeff Dion was our road producer, and he had been the head of the news and whatever current affairs in Halifax for about 10 years. And so we were always very, very respectful. So we would never go in until they were finished. We would wait till the scrum. We would be there.
Yeah.
And I would be feeling deeply ashamed because everybody else would have on their very expensive Burberry with their expensive briefcase, and I would be there in a felt suit with gold glue around my dress. And
you just
we
have
would
to
always
stand there
wait.
for 20, 30 minutes.
I know. We would always wait until they got to the end of their questions, and then we would get the politicians just as they were going.
Okay, yeah. No, that's a good way. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one of those things that only people in comedy will ever know, is standing wearing something so stupid and being so serious about it.
I know. And then everybody else is like, while you're waiting, like, luckily I was educated by the nuns, so I understood shame, and, so it actually worked for me, because I would be so full of shame and humiliation by the time it was ready to go that I would think, oh, shag it, I might as well just, go for the gullies on this. I mean, can I go down any further?
Yeah.
We've traveled through airports wearing huge top hats and carrying gigantic combs and stuff.
Yeah, like
it's just
5-foot combs.
Yeah.
Well, this feels like a decent time to get into our game for the podcast.
Yeah.
Matt, do you want to explain how this works?
Yeah, sure. We're going to play Two Truths and a Lie. It's our favorite game to play on the Hunks podcast. It's where one of us gives 3 statements, 2 of which are true, 1 of which is a lie, and then everybody else has to guess which one is the lie. And helping us out with our 3 statements today is none other than Mary Walsh. Mary?
Okay, so when this was before my son was born, and because sometimes comedians, like Eddie Murphy really was like the first rock and roll comedian, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. Sometimes comedians would like to believe that they're like rock and rollers, or anyway. So I was drinking, like I was a rock and roller, and I went on holiday with my maiden aunt and my boyfriend at the time and my 2 friends. Well, anyway, and then, liquor is very, very cheap in St. Petersburg, which is a retirement community in Florida. Okay. And, once you take the top off, that was like, and so we were making, gin fizzes for breakfast and stuff like that. Yeah. And I ended up getting arrested and for attacking a hotel from the outside and coming to in the St. Pete's Beach drunk tank, which there's only me, and there was, and it was really nice, and the bars were painted blue, and the palette was actually beige, like a nice clean. It was nice. Very, very clean. I don't think they get a lot of people at the St. Pete's. Yeah. Anyway, that.
Okay.
That's that story.
Oh my God. Open bar drunk tank.
One time, I was visiting Andy in England, and he was rehearsing a show at the Royal Court, and it was the Ken Campbell Road Show, and I was doing something, standing in for someone, and Samuel Beckett, of Waiting for Godot, was actually came into the audience of the Royal Court and laughed a couple of times at something I said.
Wow.
Okay, then when I was up north, I got lost out on Hudson's Bay, and I got really kind of frightened because it was getting dark, and of course you think of when I think of ice here, it's like flat, you know what I mean? In the harbors, and we don't go out. But Hudson's Bay is like. Oh. That's what the ice is like. It's like, and so you're down behind a great big thing. and you can't see where you're going. And so my son found me, and I was there doing a comedy festival. So I could have died for comedy.
Oh my God.
Like bringing comedy to the north. I love that we say bringing comedy to the north, like the Inuit haven't been practicing
Yeah.
in 1,000 years, right? Anyway, those are my 3 stories.
That was some good exposure.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
right.
Exposure.
I think that the drunk tank one is the lie. I think that there's some element of truth in there. I'm not sure what, but I think that one is the lie.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, I think that the element of truth was that you picked up your friend from the drunk tank, and that's how you knew that how nice it was, and you were like, I want to stay here.
Yeah, I think you attacked the hotel, but you weren't arrested. You were applauded.
Oh,
I'm gonna say. So I also think that's the lie.
The hotel was wanted in 3 states.
Yeah. Yes.
It was on the run. Okay, so yeah, we had the drunk tank,
Sam Beckett, and which I can't imagine what Samuel Beckett laughing must sound like. It's probably like ha, and then a 30-second pause, and then, ha, 30-second pause, ha. Have you guys seen Godot? He's supposed to meet me here. And then, the Churchill. No, not Churchill. I'm thinking Churchill because we're in Manitoba, but Hudson's Bay. I'm gonna say maybe the Hudson's Bay is the lie, and it wasn't Hudson's Bay. It was Yellowknife, maybe.
No, the actual lie is the Samuel Beckett.
oh, we all lost.
Yeah.
Clean sweep.
But I really was in the drunk tank. And then to make things a million times worse, I was so hungover, and my auntie, I'd promised her, in Florida, you can gamble. Like, how old people love those slots.
Oh,
yeah.
And you can gamble so many miles out to sea, 2 miles out to sea. So there are all these boats you can get on. And so I'd promised Aunt May that I would take her. And of course, she was not speaking to me because she didn't know I was in the drunk tank. And then I had to go out, and it's down underneath the deck where the gambling happens. And the noise is unbelievable. I was never so sick, and I had to spend all day there.
Oh my gosh!
I went home and had a drink. Good thinking, that was truthful.
Wow.
The lie was Samuel Beckett, but actually it happened to Andy. But I just I steal the story.
Nice.
That's the nugget of every good lie.
Yeah.
So, what were you in Churchill when you got lost on Hudson's Bay, or was it?
No, I was in Iqaluit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Iqaluit, and Iqaluit is right on the thing. Hudson's Bay is right there.
Yeah. On the other coast.
That's terrifying. That's
Ice
Yeah,
mountains.
it is
Can you
terrifying.
imagine anything more terrifying? A wolf coming over. Oh no, a polar bear. I mean,
polar bear. Yeah.
Polar bear.
A wolf
yeah.
riding a polar bear.
They're so cute, though. Surely they would. You just have to.
Yeah.
You have to just be nice to
You
them.
know what's
Yeah.
especially cute is when they're stalking you. Then when you turn around, they cover their nose really quickly because that's the only part that you'll be able to see. So how adorable is that? That they're like, whoa, so cute.
And they just want a Coca-Cola.
Yeah, of course. I know that. Yeah.
It's actually a real problem. A lot of diabetes in the polar bear community.
That is the problem. It's not the melting ice cap. It's the diabetes. Diabetes from the cola.
A lot of 3-legged bears up there. What was that? Was that your first time in Iqaluit? Have you ever performed in Alert or been up a little further?
No. Iqaluit, I've been. Yellowknife, White Horse.
Wow.
Have I been? And I've been in Labrador. I've traveled all around Labrador. To Nain and on the coast of Labrador.
To name a few.
Right? Nain and I can't think of anywhere in it now. But anyway, we did a tour there back in the 80s, and that was fun. Yeah.
Sweet.
We should do that. We should get to Yellowknife and
I'm so
White
down.
Horse.
Yeah.
Did you go when it was full?
People like anything you do.
Oh,
They won't like
perfect.
anything.
Goes up there because it's so expensive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just so expensive to get there.
Yeah.
Right.
And then expensive to eat there,
Yeah.
and then expensive to stay there. It's really, you really have to get. I think I go with Cracking Up the Capital out of Ottawa, and now John Helmke does the Arctic Comedy Festival. You should contact him because what this comedy festival needs is a bit of sketch. I'm so tired of, does anybody, lots of great stand-ups, I don't mean that there are, but there's just so much more. Of course, as an old sketch hound like myself, there's just so much more art to sketch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people have to be good actors, and well, like people like Richard Pryor. Like he was such a shitty actor on film.
Yes,
but he was such a brilliant actor in his stand-up. Like when he do a deer in the woods or something, you could actually see it was. He was so brilliant, but no, there aren't that many stand-ups that are doing that kind of work. And I think there needs to be more sketch. I think that's what we're best at in this country anyway, is sketch. I don't see why we're not doing more of it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, we have a really good pedigree for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's alarming how many people have no idea what sketch even is. You describe it to them, they're like, oh, improv. It's like,
right.
Oh my God.
Right.
I'm so over improv. I just don't know anybody who does it. Colin Mockery is an improv genius.
Yeah, for sure.
No question. But other than that, it's like, it's like the first day of rehearsal when you're just trying out something, and it's always the same story. Like we used to go to this improv thing because a friend of ours was part of it in London, and it was in London, England, and they were all fairly established people, I guess. But it would be, and they'd take suggestions from the audience, and then they'd do musicals. But it'd be the same fucking musical. So we went 3 or 4 times. It wouldn't matter if it was the Phantom of the Opera. Like you're stuck in a sewer and blah blah blah, or it's a rock and roll
proctologist
thing of, it would just all be the same exact stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's just so disappointing, but people love it. I guess
they always end up down at the wharf. Hey.
Also, like,
so it seems to me that just a step along the route to something.
Right.
It's like jerking off and never coming. Right?
It's like tantric comedy.
Yeah. But everybody is mad for improv. It's true. I think that should be.
Well, I think that improv can be magical, but but I'm not willing to take the risk because I'd say most improv is bad, and the worst improv is worse than the worst anything. Bad improv is worse than bad stand-up. It's worse than bad sketch. It's worse than anything.
Yeah.
When we did that series, Hatching, Matching, and Dispatching, which is my favorite series that I ever worked on, we started off in the old way. We went, but based on people who have a funeral parlor, a wedding hall, and an ambulance service.
Yeah.
And that's quite common in rural Newfoundland and Northern Ontario too, and maybe in Manitoba, I don't know.
Yeah.
But so we started off interviewing people who had that business, going around interviewing. Then we took the tapes of all that and we turned it into a transcript. Then we gave it to like Sean Majumdar and Johnny Harris and Steve Cochran and Sherry White and Adriana and myself, I suppose, and then we and Joel Thomas Hines, and then we improvised around that material and some new stuff. Then Ed McDonald and I took all that stuff and we distilled it down into 6 TV shows.
Oh, cool.
And I love that process personally.
Beautiful process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, when we're writing, we usually just try to get our hands on as much bath salts as we can and lock ourselves in a room.
I never understood the bath salts thing, but I know.
I don't even know what they are,
It
honestly.
disappeared. People were running across bridges naked and eating other people for a while. I understand, and then it went out of the news. Right. I don't know.
See, I feel like it was one guy ever
ruined
and that's
bath salts for everyone.
Ruined bath salts. I know.
Now, just to clarify, this may sound like a stupid question, but are these like people eating something that you would normally just put in a bath and enjoy?
No. It's a name of a drug.
Yeah.
Well,
like a
that's
particular
misleading.
concoction.
But I thought it was bath salts too for the longest time.
Thank you.
How can they be that bad?
Yeah.
But, obviously.
Well, especially since kids are eating Tide Pods, apparently. So it's like not that far off the realm.
Right.
Yeah. You got to have the special lockdown on your Tide Pod thing. I saw it on TV the other night to stop your children from eating the Tide Pods. It's like, after you taste it first, why would you go on?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
They must taste
surely
amazing.
they can handle one.
They had a sip of beer once, and they were like, "Well, everyone likes this, so."
Yeah.
I want to send a special thank you to, of course, Chad Anderson, who helped us arrange this interview. And what was it like working with Chad? A bit of a nightmare, I assume.
Why? No, it was like we were doing a show called Canada It's Complicated, written by a diverse bunch of people all over the country. And then we hired, Chad and other people who were comedians, and we tried to represent Canada as much as we could in all the different diversities.
Yeah.
And Chad found it, and it was a singing, dancing comedy thing.
I remember that. Yeah.
And Chad, I felt very sympathetic because, boy, when it comes to singing and dancing, and I got that kind of old alky thing where I don't want to give it up. You know what I mean? I don't even want to try.
Yes.
I want to be in a bad mood that they're doing it, like they're asking me to do it. I want them to back off, and so I had a certain amount of sympathy with Chad because it wasn't his long suit, right? And but he did it, and he did great, and it was great working with him, And I'm sorry he had to suffer so much, But I don't know if he learned anything about singing and dancing or not.
Oh, he's singing and dancing all the time now.
I mean, terribly, but
he's very funny and great to work with, I think.
Yeah.
And then I just think that the whole singing dancing thing, I don't know if he really knew he was signing up for that when he signed up. I used to sing. We used to sing in Codco, and Sandy Morris used to be our musical director, and he used to go, just stand back a little bit from the mic. And then he'd just go on like that. Just a little more. Yeah. Just behind that door there. That's ha. Very funny. But so it wasn't really what I was good at. I love those people who are so good at everything, don't you? Like comedy and singing and dancing.
Yeah.
Don't you love them? Yeah.
What?
It's even better when they're really attractive.
Oh, and really attractive. Yeah. Yes.
That's like,
I wish there was one here with me now.
Dana, take it away. And a 1, 2, 3.
But no, that's why, with actors, I'm like, okay, you're with beautiful actors, and they can sing and they can dance, and if they're funny, then that's when I get mad, where it's like, no, that's my thing. Leave something for the rest of us.
Yes.
God damn it.
I know. Well, listen, what about Jan Arden? I don't find her show that funny, but she is dead funny. She's one of the funniest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
Bang, 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 bang. Beautiful voice.
Crazy beautiful
Writes
voice.
beautiful music.
Yeah.
Then she's got to come in on my turn and be funny. Come on.
We're going to start like a Canadian sketch or a Canadian comedy beef here on the podcast.
Yeah. Well, I must say I love Jan Arden, and I'm not saying that I don't like her show. I do like her show. It's just that it's funny, isn't it? Especially when you're a comedian. We used to say, when somebody do something, they'd go, I know you're not laughing, Mary, but you seem to be indicating that you're finding it humorous. And I'd go, yes, I find it very humorous. That funny place because there's a part of you that's like thinking, oh, this is really funny. Mm-hmm. And there's a part of you that's thinking, why didn't I say that?
Yeah.
So why is he getting that? Mm-hmm. And so you're trapped in a non-laughy kind of way. Yeah. So it's hard for comedians, I find, to enjoy other comedy. But if you happen to find someone who you find funny, then you better just glom right on to them.
Yeah.
Now, the only time I find myself laughing is when someone's bombing miserably. That's hilarious.
Sorry. I I like Ricky Gervais, and I like when they say, like other people go, and then you're working with Ricky, and then he starts to laugh right in the middle, and you think, oh, I bet he's laughing at me, and then he's going like, no, and he's going, and then they go, and then it finds out, of course, that he's laughing at something he just said, or even if he didn't say something, he's laughing at something he's thinking.
Yeah.
You guys should get up here. It's funny. It's funny in here.
Yeah. Who's your favorite comedian, Tim?
I just you know what? Yeah, I just watched a Netflix special yesterday, actually, of Nate Bargatze, who's a stand-up comedian from Tennessee in the States. It was a stand-up show, but it was filmed during.
You don't mean Tennessee, Manitoba?
I don't mean Tennessee, Saskatchewan.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, yeah. What's his name? Nate?
Nate Bargatze, and it was a special film during COVID. So it was all these socially distanced tables, and everyone's wearing a mask, and it's outdoors. And there was like 4 or 5 times where a helicopter goes over top and interrupts the show. And I don't know how much of it was pre-planned or how much of it was him just acknowledging the spinning elephant in the room or whatever. And but his riffs, the way that he incorporated the the helicopter in and then sort of weaved it throughout the show, I found to be really enjoyable. Really loved it.
And Dana, what about you?
Right now, I'm really digging Sarah Silverman. I've been listening to her podcast, and then I also just watched her special on Netflix, and she's just got this perfect joke. I have a lot of jokes about squirrels for some reason, and she's got the perfect squirrel joke that I was just like, fuck, I wish I'd thought of that. It's so good.
And how about you, Matt?
I think pound for pound, my favorite comedian would have to be Tina Fey. I've just really loved everything that I've seen her do and write, and 30 Rock is my all-time favorite show. And I think she's got a sense of humor that's right up my alley.
Yeah, you can see the difference between her and
Amy Poehler,
her friend Amy Poehler. Yeah, that Amy Poehler is. But Tina Fey, I think of her in those movies with Steve Carell out on a date. So she seems fairly. But then when I think of the stuff that she creates, it's loony, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like loony.
Yeah, it's cartoony. Yeah,
cartoony.
Yeah, cartoony. Yeah, loony, cartoony.
As cartoony as you can be in a live action sense.
Yeah. Interesting. And how about you?
I like probably Paul F. Tompkins would be my favorite. Just like giving me the most laughs over the years in mostly podcast appearances, I would say. Like he's just so kind funny.
Character actor, improviser.
Yeah, exactly.
Comedian.
Yeah, I'm not even that familiar with his stand-up. More so him as like a doing weird characters just makes me laugh.
Yeah. Who's yours?
Yeah. And, I just wanted to talk to you guys about this really quickly. I know we're coming to the end, but I was going to say that, it's really interesting, the people that you picked. And I was going to say Dave Chappelle, just because I find him so brave.
Yeah.
Because, I got into something that was a little bit, I posted something on I didn't even say anything about it. I just posted something and it caused this great roar of people. And and even back when I was sending up Harper, like people were were calling me a fat, old, washed up whore. And I thought, fat, yes, washed up, yes, but whore, just because I'm not a conservative. But so, it tends to make me back off things, right?
Yes.
And I'm just so moved by how brave he is. And sometimes I forget that, when we were doing Codco in 1972, we were making fun of the Holy Roman Catholic and Apostolic Church, which was big in our lives, right?
Yeah.
And you weren't allowed to do that. So it's always been
Yes.
that you can't make fun of things, right?
Yeah.
It's not a new thing.
No.
It's just that it's more public. Like we were denounced from the steps of the Basilica by Father Hickey, who later died in prison for child abuse.
Fuck.
Right.
Oh, what a sin. I was so sad to hear that.
Yeah.
But then not that many people knew about it.
Right.
Because unless you read the Monitor, which was the local Catholic paper.
Right.
How would you know that they hated us? But now it's so public and everybody is kind of afraid.
Yeah.
Are you guys feeling that at all? How are you feeling about that?
Well, we had like actually a thing where like last week's episode, I had this stupid sketch idea about Armie Hammer, and then that week, right after we had released the episode, Armie Hammer, their stories were coming out about
eating people.
Yeah, I mean, but also there's rape accusations there, and so then we were like, oh shit, we didn't.
Oh, rape, they're all at that. But it's the cannibalism that bothers me.
Well, we knew about the cannibalism, and then we were like not talking about that, but just like making fun of it. And then, but then this other added layer was added like a couple days later, and we're like, oh, are we gonna, is this insensitive? Are we gonna be catching heat for this?
Sarah Silverman was talking about this on her podcast a little bit, and her quote that keeps ringing in through my head on this matter is that we need to judge people based on the sum of their parts, not by
the people that they eat.
Not by how much
Sarah
people
Silverman on that, you know?
Yeah. But you do have to have pretty thick skin to make a statement. I mean, it's difficult, tricky waters to navigate.
Right, because
I think that I'm old, older anyway, and that when I was young, we were, kicking against the man, and all the establishment. Yeah. And so, but now I don't know. I mean, our people, and it never was acceptable to kick down.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's not what comedy has ever been about.
No.
You're not satirizing the poor, for fuck's sake, or the disenfranchised or the disadvantaged.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Your job is to, then again, who owns the fool, the king or the people? Who's the fool there to, serve both the king and the people, I guess. Yeah. But I just think it's maybe a non-issue that people have always been. I always like to say, look, woke and chill. I'm so old now, I barely strike a wink of sleep, so I can't possibly be any more woke up than I already am. And chill, I'm frozen all the time. I can't get the place hot enough. So, I'm really well past that.
Over a circulation issue.
but I do believe that we're making maybe something out of something that has always been the case. Like, if you think about a whatchamacallit solution, remember the satirist who wrote about the Irish situation and suggested that the English should just fatten up the Irish babies, keep the Irish women alive, keep the babies alive, fatten them up, and then eat them, getting back to cannibalism. It's the greatest piece of satire that was ever written. Yeah. And people thought he meant it. Yeah, and he was a bishop. And people went mad. But what happened was it's not like everything got all great, but one little piece of legislation was changed in the English Parliament in a modest proposal, is the name of the piece. And it actually caused something to change, So you think, oh my God, amazing. Right? And that was so offensive to everyone, offensive to the English. The Irish went mad because he was saying that they should be food. Like, first of all, that really got on their nerves. But anyway, it actually changed things. Huh. Having Trump in has made us all believe that there's nothing we can do anyway, that we're powerless,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, you don't, water doesn't reshape a rock overnight. It'll just keep flowing over it until we sort out all the rough corners, I mean, it's been, I read this interview with,
and then create our own rock.
Yeah.
A comedy rock.
Let's get 30
that nobody can stand up against, that no water can get over or around or through.
And no attractive people.
Exactly. And sing and dance. No.
You get your own rock.
No.
Hot rock, and you make out with each other. It's going to be great.
Are we ready to hear a couple sketch pitches? What do you think?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is the part of the show where we bring the energy down pretty low and
Matt.
pitch some sketch ideas not fully thought out. Never will be. Stoke the fires. Matt, what do you got?
Yeah,
for us?
sure. Just a couple quick ones. How about this one? How about it's the newlywed game, but one couple is just oversharing too much. Like,
Yeah.
That's fun. I like that.
what's your husband's favorite song? Well, ever since his mother died, it's been.
Yeah.
Well, I know back when he was in Hitler Youth, it was.
It was Deutschland über alles, of course.
I like the idea of a game show sketch. I was thinking about this the other day, how hard it can be to end a sketch. I don't know if
And to bridge a sketch.
Yeah.
We used to have a little company called Bridges Incorporated.
Oh yeah.
Miss Bixby, Bridges Incorporated. How can we bridge these sketches?
Oh, that's great.
Totally.
Yeah. But a game show has that built in, and we're cutting to commercial.
Yeah.
And okay, how about this one? This last one here. An ad executive. He's trying to get fired, so he is pitching the worst ideas, and the bosses all love it to the extent that they start changing the product to fit his. Yeah, we could get a penis on it.
It's sort of like Springtime for Hitler. What was that show?
The
Producers.
Yeah.
I love the producers. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. A lot of fun status games you could play with that.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
And that's it.
Good ideas, Matt.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay. I think we're wrapping up on this podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, Mary Walsh. It was such a delight having you. I hope you had a little bit of fun.
Send me how. I already know how to get in touch with you, don't I? Because I'm going to ask John, because we are going up to the north in October, to think about sketch, because of course we usually have workshops too,
right.
And nobody's brought sketch to the north, I don't think, and it just would be really good.
Yeah, we do it in a heartbeat. Yeah.
We have a great workshop about how to fight as friends.
How to twist the knife in your friend's back. Yeah, and we all sleep in one bed, so that works out. We only need one airplane seat. We just stack like Russian dolls.
Yeah.
Mary, is there anything that you would want to promote to our massive podcast audience?
Well, myself and Greg Toomey used to do this ongoing sketch called That Show Sucks with Mom and Eddie Reardon, your TV critics, Mom and Eddie Reardon.
Nice.
And so I'm working with someone who had worked with the Trailer Park Boys on their cartoon. And, there's a great, so we've got an animatic, which is like an animation, except it's not as good as an animation, like it's not colored in. And when Mom's mouth moves, it doesn't move all the time. You know what I mean? It's a cheap version to pitch. And so, hopefully that's, coming out, and Ed McDonald and I are working on, a Halloween Fury, which is the Fury family from Hatching, Matching, and Dispatching at Halloween.
Oh, nice.
And
That's great.
Very cool.
Great.
And I want to also plug quickly Chad Anderson's stand-up comedy album, Live at Wee Johnny's. Get that wherever you get your comedy albums. It was released on Comedy Records. Absolutely fantastic album. Just hilarious. Love you, Chad.
Yeah. You can find Hunks on social media anywhere at Hunks Comedy on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all of those.
I forgot to promote. We just put out Broad Appeal, myself and Kathy Jones as the two old ladies.
Yes.
And it's on Gem, and we traveled across the country on Via Rail.
Nice.
And we talked to Margaret Atwood and a lot of people.
David Suzuki.
David Suzuki. Yeah. So it's on Gem.
Yes.
So for God's sake, watch that. It's called Broad Appeal, Living with Ease.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Check that out on CBC Gem. CBC
I forgot
Gem.
about that.
You can-
Nobody knows what Gem is. If you have any kind of a thing, you can have Gem.
Yeah.
People go, what the fuck is Gem?
If you can
You go,
dream it, you
if
can
you have a
stream it.
phone or anything, you can just download it. It's not even going to cost you anything.
Nothing.
And there's extraordinary
Yeah.
programming on there,
You might ha-
including us.
Yeah.
But, lots of other stuff.
It's fully loaded with everything you can possibly dream to stream. CBC Gem. Check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Hunks, we have an album coming out. It's a live album, recorded live at Wee Johnny's in Winnipeg. That comes out on April 1st everywhere. It's called Mouth Beef. You can get it.
We'll send you a press copy, Mary. How about that?
Yeah, do please.
We will.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet,
Hear
sweet.
it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll pretend I'm watching too.
We'll
Yeah,
do
you
one
can-
of those animatics where nobody's mouth moves.
Yeah.
Good.
It's
I
just
can't believe I forgot Broad Appeal. Isn't that crazy?
of course, stick around to the end of the episode to hear a fully produced sketch from your friendly neighborhood Hunks. Thanks to Rusty for editing that and putting the soundscape and stuff like that. This is actually the 10th and final episode of season 2 of the Hunks podcast. We're going to be back soon with some more sporadic season 3, or I don't know. Our numbering system is so it's not tethered to anything, it's like the American economy. It makes no sense. Anyways, I just want to say one more time, thank you so much, Mary Walsh, for being our guest
Thanks,
today.
Mary.
Yeah,
thanks,
thanks so
Mary.
much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Great talking to you
You
guys.
too.
Yeah,
And
thank
we
you so much.
normally end on a song and a dance, so take it away, Mary.
Chad won't do it, so.
If Chad will do it with me, I'll do it.
Okay.
Okay, thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye.
Should I just say close?
Sure.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
you
thanks so
for
much. That
doing
was
it,
so
Mary. That was
fun.
great.
Okay, great. I'm really impressed with your microphones.
Thank you.
Does everybody have to have a great big microphone to be in Hunks?
Yeah, it's one of the
Yeah.
prereqs.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, there aren't many prereqs.
Well, do send me that thing, please, you guys. And I really enjoyed meeting you
Yeah,
and
love
doing
to.
the podcast. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Thanks
this
so
was
much.
great.
It was super fun.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Honey, you know sex.
Of course.
And you know how we both like it.
Well, sure.
What if we tried some role playing?
Ooh, yeah. Like I'm a patient, you're my naughty nurse sort of thing?
Kind of.
Okay. Well, what did you have in mind?
Well, what if I was a college student
Nice.
and you were like the crusty old dean
Nice.
and you're determined to shut down my frat house?
Don't you mean sorority?
No, my frat house.
Okay. Well, I'm not so sure about that one.
Okay. Well, what if you were like a high-powered lawyer?
Ooh, yeah, and you're my sexy secretary.
No, even better. I'm your son, and I make a birthday wish that for one day you can't tell a lie.
God, that's a Jim Carrey movie.
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay. What if I was like a sexy police officer?
Ooh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And you're a cannibal helping me catch a serial killer who wants to make a coat out of human skin.
Damn it. No, that's the plot to Silence of the Lambs.
Okay, I'm a fat Italian man.
Already know.
And I'm making you an offer you can't refuse.
See, yeah, that's the Godfather.
Okay, you're a group of 4 preteen boys in the woods, and I'm a dead body.
No, that's Stand By Me.
You're trapped on a desert island.
And
And I'm a volleyball who keeps you company.
yeah, see, there it is. That's Castaway.
Okay, I'm a Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid.
Oh, you're a Stuart Little.
Stuart Little.
I'm a brave little toaster. Fine. What do you want to do?
Just the normal stuff.
Fine. I'll get the fire extinguisher. You call the cops.
Hunks is a sketch comedy group from Winnipeg. Got it? They are Rory Fallis, Tim Gray, Matt Nightingale, and Dana Smith. Episodes are produced and recorded each week from their homes in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Additional production and sound design and editing, stuff like that, by me, Rusty Mattias, at my home. Thanks again to this week's special guest, Mary Walsh, for this season's final episode of the Hunks Podcast. But stay tuned because the Hunks Podcast will have more crap coming your way real soon. Have a great week, everyone. Okay, bye!